When I became a mother, I always knew there would be moments when my child would surprise me. Children have this beautiful way of reminding us of life's purest truths, even when we are too busy, too tired, or too distracted to notice. But never in my life did I think my son's birthday wish would be the one moment that completely stopped me in my tracks and changed the way I saw everything: our family, our struggles, and even myself. My name is Laura, and I live in a small suburban town in Ohio with my husband, David, and our 10-year-old son, Ethan. From the moment Ethan was born, he was the kind of child who carried a brightness within him that made people smile. He wasn't just another kid running around with toys. He was thoughtful, observant, and sometimes far too mature for his age. Friends often joked that Ethan was an old soul, wrapped in the body of a young boy. In the weeks leading up to his birthday, life in our household was not easy. David had recently lost his job due to company downsizing, and I was working double shifts at a local diner to help keep the bills paid. Money was tight, stress was high, and I could feel the cracks in our family beginning to show. We tried our best to shield Ethan from the weight of our struggles, but children have a way of sensing when something is wrong, no matter how much you try to cover it up. I remember sitting at the kitchen table one night, going over the bills while David stared at the floor. We didn't say much because we didn't need to. The silence spoke loudly enough. That's when Ethan walked in, his little pajamas slightly too short because he was growing faster than we could keep up with. He asked, "Mom, is everything okay?" And for a moment, my heart sank. I wanted to tell him yes, but the truth felt too heavy to hide behind a lie. "We're okay, sweetheart," I said gently, brushing his hair back from his forehead. "Sometimes grown-ups just have to figure out tough things. But don't you worry about that, okay?" He nodded, though I knew he wasn't convinced. As his birthday approached, I felt a sense of guilt eating at me. In the past, we always tried to make his birthday special, even if it was just cake and balloons with a few friends. But this year, I didn't know how we were going to afford even that. David and I whispered late into the night about what we could do. Should we bake a cake ourselves? Should we skip presents this year? I couldn't bear the thought of disappointing Ethan. Finally, the morning of his birthday arrived. Ethan ran downstairs, his excitement filling the air even before he spoke a word. We had managed to decorate the living room with some old streamers and balloons we had saved from previous parties. On the kitchen counter sat a small homemade cake with blue frosting that I had stayed up late to make. It wasn't much, but when Ethan saw it, his face lit up as though I had given him the world. We sang, "Happy Birthday," and for a brief moment, everything felt normal. He blew out the candles with a big smile, and I leaned over to kiss his cheek. Then came the moment that would change everything. When I asked him, "Ethan, what did you wish for?" he looked at me with the most serious expression I had ever seen on his face. His big brown eyes seemed to carry the weight of something beyond his years. He said softly, "I wished for you and Dad to be happy again. I don't need toys or games. I just want us to smile like we used to." My breath caught in my throat. The room fell silent. David, who had been standing beside me, looked down at the floor, his jaw tightening. Tears immediately welled up in my eyes. Here was my son, only 10 years old, making a wish not for himself, not for something a child would normally ask for, but for his parents. For our happiness. I didn't know what to say. I felt my chest tighten as I realized just how much he had noticed, how much he had been carrying silently in his own little heart. Children see more than we give them credit for. They hear the late-night whispers, the sighs, the way laughter fades from the house. Ethan had seen it all, and instead of asking for a toy he could hold in his hands, he asked for something he thought might fix us. I pulled him into my arms and held him tightly. "Oh, baby," I whispered, my voice breaking. "That's the kindest wish anyone has ever made." David sat down beside us, his own eyes red, and for the first time in weeks, he reached for my hand. We all sat there, holding on to one another, with nothing but love filling the room. That moment changed us. It was as if Ethan's wish reminded us of what really mattered. It wasn't the bills, the stress, or the things we didn't have. It was us, our family, our love, and the simple joy of being together. David and I made a promise to ourselves that day. No matter how hard things got, we wouldn't let our struggles steal the happiness that Ethan so desperately wanted for us. In the days that followed, things didn't magically fix themselves. The bills were still there, the stress didn't disappear overnight, but something inside our family shifted. We began to laugh more, even if it was just over silly jokes. David started helping more around the house, and I tried to spend less time worrying about the things I couldn't control. Ethan, in his quiet way, had given us the greatest gift: perspective. Weeks later, David found a new job. It wasn't as high-paying as his previous one, but it was steady work. We slowly began to rebuild, and with every little step forward, I remembered Ethan's wish. I often found myself looking at him, wondering how a boy so young could hold such wisdom. Months passed, and one evening, I tucked Ethan into bed. As I kissed him goodnight, he looked up at me and said, "Mom, did my wish come true?" I smiled through tears, brushing the hair from his forehead once again. "Yes, sweetheart," I whispered. "Your wish came true. You gave us our happiness back." And in that moment, I realized something profound. Sometimes, the greatest lessons in life don't come from adults teaching children. Sometimes, they come from children reminding adults of the things they've forgotten. Ethan's birthday wish left me speechless, but it also left me with a new heart, a stronger marriage, and a deeper appreciation for the love that holds families together. Even now, years later, whenever I feel overwhelmed by the challenges of life, I think back to that day, the small homemade cake, the flickering candles, and my son's wish that changed everything. And I carry with me the reminder that happiness doesn't come from the things we own, but from the people we love.